Welcome to Hoptown Hoppers Baseball. The Hoptown Hoppers are in Dubois County, Huntingburg, Indiana today to take on the Dubois County Bombers in a doubleheader after their game last week was canceled for weather. They decided to come up here today. This Wednesday, they were supposed to come up anyways and play both of those games here. So two 7-inning games, 14 innings of baseball here in Huntingburg as the Hoppers take on the Dubois County Bombers. And before anything gets started, I'll run through the Hoppers lineup. Number 17, Reed Douglas playing catcher tonight, batting first. Number 3, Sam Perkins at second base. Number 16, Luis Vergara, your designated hitter. Number 10, Dom Oliverio at center field. Number 25, Carter Hood, third baseman. Number 29, Robert Estrada in right field. Number 11, Chase Cummings in left field. Number 32, Miggy Manuel Villalobos at first base. Number 2, John Keebler, shortstop, and pitching tonight for the Hoppers will be Miles Green. And remember, this is a 7-inning ball game. Both games today will be 7 innings. And it is 5:35 here in Huntingburg. It's 4:35 in Hoptown. Glad to have you with us on the Hoptown Hoppers TV stream. And we are just about to get started as pitcher Anthony Jarrell for the Bombers throws some warm-up pitches. And Reed Douglas will head to the plate to get things started here in the first game of 2. I will mention our wide view camera does have some columns in front of it. Not too bad of a view, but it's definitely not perfect. So gonna probably not flip to that as much as I normally do, but gonna try to on certain plays. You can still see that first base pretty well, and outfield and home plate all right. Third base is a little skewed. Reed Douglas here batting first for the Hoppers tonight. Gonna start things off with a ball. I will say I'm so far away from home plate, I'm probably not gonna have any sort of gauge on if I think a ball is a ball or a strike. And that'll be fouled off for a 1-1 count. I'm also sitting a tad bit to the left, so again, not in the greatest spot personally to critique some of these umpire calls. I'll probably still do it a little bit, but probably not as much as usual. I know people just love to hear my take on a sport I never played. And that is definitely outside. 2-1 count now for Reed Douglas. And another outside pitch there. So Reed Douglas up 3-1 in this count early against Jarrell, who, if I heard correctly, is from Olney Central College, a college that the Hoppers have got a significant amount of players from the last few years. And that'll be a high pitch for a walk. So Reed Douglas will get on first base to get things started for Hoptown today with a walk. And now Sam Perkins, your second baseman, is up to the plate. And a high pitch right away to Perkins will get him up in the count as Jarrell starts off with 5 balls, only 1 strike thrown. There's a strike called. And there's an outside pitch, 2-1. I will say the Austin Powers sound effect did come after that strike we just saw. Forgot that Dubois County was a sound effect stadium. You know, everyone loves those, including me. 2-2 now the count as that one's fouled off. From what I recall, they don't do it quite as much as Henderson and Fulton do. But yes, there will be obnoxious sound effects today, and I'm sure I'll talk about them because if you listen to my Henderson broadcast a couple weeks ago, I absolutely hate them. So 2-2 the count for Sam Perkins, a runner on first base, and no outs on the board. And Douglas will try to steal second, but a foul ball will bring him back to first base, and he may be hurt with a slide into second there, an unnecessary slide. He's down and getting up real slowly as he kind of flung himself over the bag and then finished his slide on the opposite side of the bag. And the coaches will walk out to check on him. Count will remain the same after the foul ball, but Reed Douglas is kind of looks like he's hurting.
Delicious goodies down the third base side at the Hardball Cafe. Catered by Meyer. Just to cook it while we're here. And again, maybe up the Swiss cheese Russ.
So he jogs it off a little bit, maybe just knocked the breath out of him. I'm not sure, but he is going back to first base now, and he seems to be walking fine, so I wonder if it was maybe a hand or arm or chest or something to that effect, because he seems to be walking all right. So we'll continue here, 2-2 count with no outs, and Reed Douglas remains on first base, but he is, I don't know if I would say injured, but at least a little hobbled, and probably will not try to steal again here, as he came up hurt after attempting it last time. And Sam Perkfield and Douglas will actually go to third base, and he makes it there even though he was running a little slow. And so Sam Perkins with a little pop-up there to the short outfield or right field will get Reed Douglas to third base early, and that is a single for Sam Perkins, and he didn't even really fully swing on that. Kind of caught it a little, I don't even know exactly what to call that, but it wasn't a full swing. Kind of got lucky there. Luis Vergara now at the plate with no outs on the board, and Jarrell will start things off with a strike. And a swing and a miss from Vergara makes the count 0-2. I will mention something cool, and I wonder if you can see it on here, sort of in the left side of your screen. They have an old-fashioned scoreboard with people up there putting the numbers up on the board themselves. They also have a new school one. That's a ball thrown 1-2 the count. A new school electric scoreboard on the right field wall, but the old school board that you would have seen in the movie A League of Your Own, which is where we're playing tonight. If you didn't know that, we're playing at the stadium. Seen in the A League of Your Own movie with Tom Hanks. They have the old school scoreboard, and Vergara will hit that one to third base side. Sam Perkins is safe at second base. They chose to throw it there instead of first base, and Luis Vergara will make it into first. And Sam Perkins is quick enough to outrun the throw at second. So loaded bases here as Reed Douglas was kind of stopped up, couldn't go from third to home, but no outs on the board and loaded bases here early for Hoptown. Outside pitch, this is Dominic Oliverio. Dom Oliverio at the plate, trying to bring in some runs early for Hoptown. Hoptown defeated the Bombers 9-2 just last week, and one of their most recent wins. Suffered a pretty heartbreaking loss yesterday to Clarksville at home. And there is a pitch called a strike, 1-1 the count. And that pitch called a strike. So a 1-2 count with loaded bases and no outs for the Hoptown Hoppers. Facing off against Anthony Jarrell, the pitcher for the Bombers. And Oliveria will swing on that one, and it is launched, but it is foul. I mean, that ball was absolutely obliterated, but it does go left of the foul pole and will be foul. So the count remains the same at 1-2 with no outs and loaded bases. That pitch high for a ball to even up the count at 2 apiece for Oliveria. And a swing and a miss will be a strikeout, and the first out of the inning for Hoptown, as Oliverio unable to get anything done there. And that'll bring up Carter Hood with 1 out on the board, loaded bases. The Hoptown Hoppers trying to get to an early lead here in Dubois County. Now finding themselves in a slightly stickier situation, as he'll start off with a strike, as Jarrell seeming to find the strike zone now after struggling with his first few batters and coming out slow, seeming to throw some strikes now. And he'll throw a high one there, 1-1 the count for Carter Hood. That pitch outside for a ball, so Carter Hood now ahead in the count, the first batter to be ahead in the count since Perkins, who's at second base now. Vergara reached first on an 0-2 count, and then Oliverio struck out. And that will hit Carter Hood, so Carter Hood will head to first base, and that'll walk in Reed Douglas, as Hood is struck by the ball. So the Hoppers will strike first in this game, as Reed Douglas able to walk it in. And the bases remain loaded, 1 out still on the board, and Robert Estrada now at the plate. Start things off with a ball to Estrada. As the Hoppers, no strangers to early leads, have led a lot in these games, but they're one of the worst teams in the league when it comes to holding on to those leads. Good at jumping out to them, not great at holding on to them, as Estrada will get another ball there to make his count 2-0. Maybe the Hoppers feel a little bit more confident against a Bombers team that they've already defeated in pretty easy fashion last week, and can build a lead here and hold on to it throughout the game. Once again, this is a 7-inning game, so not quite as much wiggle room. And a low pitch there for a 3-0 count to Robert Estrada, who now threatens to walk in another run. Will likely leave his bat on his shoulder here on the 3-0 count. Only 1 out on the board, and the bases remain loaded. And Estrada will do just that. He walks, and Sam Perkins will stroll to the plate for the second run in the top of the first inning. And the bases remain loaded, 1 out on the board. And Chase Cummings up to bat, and the coaches will already take a walk out to the mound and discuss things with Jarrell, who has started off up and down. He's walked several batters, but at points has thrown some strikes and actually struck out Oliverio for the 1 and only out. Just not able to find consistency here in this first inning, and kind of got himself behind early. So they'll chat it up with him. Chase Cummings is the next batter up, as we're already on to the 7th, I believe. Let me count it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7th batter in Cummings for Hoptown here in the top of the 1st inning, with only 1 out, as the Hoppers threaten to go through their entire lineup in only the top of the 1st inning. So here's Chase Cummings, and Luis Vergara's on 3rd. Carter Hood's on 2nd, and Robert Estrada on 1st. So you have some speed. Luis not the fastest. Hood and Estrada are both pretty quick. A strike thrown right away to Cummings. And Cummings will foul that one off, so he gets behind early. 0-2 in the count. Cummings does. And there's 1 out on the board. Bases are loaded as Chase Cummings trying to extend the Hoppers' hot streak to start this game and give themselves some insurance going through the rest of it. And that ball will go wild and high, and there's no doubt about it. Luis Vergara will stroll in, and that's 3 runs now scored easily for Hoptown. Only 1 hit here. That hit coming from Sam Perkins. 3-0 the score already. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know how. It's 3-0, so I don't want to get ahead of myself. I was about to mention the mercy rule. I'm not worried about that yet, to be honest with you, but I am curious to know how that would work in a 7-inning game, or if it's even a possibility. And that is another foul from Cummings. 1-2 the count with 1 out on the board. Bases remain loaded. No. Bases are not loaded after that wild pitch. Runners at 3rd and 2nd. 2 in scoring position. 2 fast runners now in scoring position. 3-0 your score in the top of the 1st already. And there's an outside pitch to even things up. 2-2. The count to Chase Cummings, who's playing first base tonight. No. Left field tonight. That's correct. Luis Vergara is your designated hitter tonight. So Chase Cummings taking over his position. And there's a high pitch to make it a full count. I believe the first full count we've seen today. Chase Cummings starting off 0-2 in this count, now bringing it back, filling it up. 3-2 with 1 out. And he'll swing and miss on that, so another strikeout. This time Chase Cummings goes down swinging, and that's another strikeout. 2 strikeouts, 2 outs here in the top of the 1st. So now there's 2 outs on the board. This is Manuel Villalobos, who did not play yesterday, but in the game before that on Sunday night hit a grand slam for Hoptown. He'll start things off with a shot, and he will be safe at first, and Carter Hood will score. That shot getting past the 3rd baseman, the shortstop having to run up behind him and collect that ball, could not make the throw to first base. So Manuel Villalobos, Miggy, has a single in his first pitch seen, and the Hoppers now lead 4-0, still having a runner in scoring position, that being Robert Estrada, who is very fast and who will definitely go if anything goes awry. And it looks like they will already be taking out their starting pitcher, Jarrell, in the top of the 1st inning. So we will take a quick break as their new pitcher gets some warm-up pitches in, and as I try to figure out who it is. And we will be right back with Hoptown Hoppers TV and Hoptown Hoppers baseball. So we are back, Hoptown Hoppers TV, and a new pitcher for the Bombers, and I did not see his number, so I heard I heard sort of what his name was, and I heard he went to Belmont, so I'm looking through their roster right now and trying to find who this is. This is John Keebler at the plate, though, for Hoptown. Runners on the corners and 2 outs on the board. And so 2 strike called back-to-back for Keebler. And this is Dalton Wasson, or Wasson, I'm not sure. Belmont University, number 25. And Keebler will foul that one off to keep the count at 0-2. I'm going to say Wasson because I think that's what I heard from the PA. So Dalton Wasson from Belmont University pitching here. And he'll throw a high pitch there, 1-2 now the count. He's definitely throwing with some more velocity than we saw from Jarrell. And that pitch, a strike called for a strikeout. And the Hoppers and Coach Davari not happy with that call. But that'll be it for the top of the first, as all 3 outs coming on strikeouts. But not before the Hoptown Hoppers get started off hot. 4-0 is your score in favor of Hoptown. And we move to the bottom of the first inning as the Bombers will get a chance to strike back. We will return after a quick break when they're ready to bat. So we are back here, bottom of the first inning, and Miles Green on the mound starting things off for Hoptown. This will be Green's first start of the season. He has been a reliever all summer for Hoptown. Will be starting tonight in this 7-inning game. And from what I was told, Dylan Eaton will be your starter in the second game. So 2 relievers starting tonight for Hoptown. We'll start things off with a shot to third base, and Carter Hood will make the throw to first, and he is out. That was Jay Flynn, the shortstop for Dubois. And on a first pitch swing, he is thrown out at first base. This is Aaron Busick, the center fielder at the plate. And a strike thrown to get things started for Busick against Green. That pitch hit right at Green. He will run it out to first base and make the underhand throw. 2 outs at first base for the Bombers here to get things started off. Only 3 pitches thrown, 2 outs already for Dubois. And this is Joey Milto, the left fielder for the Bombers. That pitch outside for a ball, 1-0 the count to Milto. And that pitch swung on and missed for a 1-1 count now, as Green, looking for the 3rd out of the inning to send us to the 2nd. Would be significantly shorter than the top of the 1st. That pitch low in the dirt for a ball, 2-1 the count. That pitch just outside, so 3-1 now the count for Milto as he threatens to walk and be the first runner on base for Dubois. And that pitch is outside, so Milto will do just that. He will head to first base, and that will bring up Caden Harless, the 3rd baseman. So a runner at first base, 2 outs on the board, and Caden Harless, the 3rd baseman, at the plate. And that'll start things off with a ball to Harless. Now, I believe that's 4 straight balls thrown from Green. Picked up 1 strike on Milto before throwing him 3 straight balls to walk him, and ball there starting things off for Harless. That pitch low in the dirt for another one. 2-0 now the count. That pitch called a ball, and Reed Douglas will ask where it missed. It did look good from here. As I said earlier, I don't have a great view on the plate. Did look good, though, from here. Reed Douglas agreed. And that pitch called a strike, and Harless knew it. 3-1 now the count. And that is hit towards right field, and that has a chance at bringing in the runner. It's not going to, as Perkins will stop the ball at second base. Estrada fields it, and the Bombers now in a scoring opportunity with a runner at 3rd and first base. And this is Paul Osting at the plate, right fielder. And after getting 2 very quick outs, now the Hoppers are in a dangerous situation with runners on the corners. And a strike thrown there to get things started for Osting. As Miles Green goes from picking up 2 quick outs to now having to stop the runner at 3rd base. And the runner will go, and that is hit towards left field, and it drops easily. And that will score the first runner of Dubois' night, and just like that, the game is alive. Both teams now with runs on the board, and we all knew there was a chance that Hoptown was not going to hold on to that 4-run lead very long. They've had that happen to them pretty often this season, but they still have a 3-run advantage here in the first. 2 outs on the board and runners at second and first base. And this is Oliver Hamilton, the catcher, at the plate. And he will start off with a foul ball. Villalobos will try to track it down, but he is unable to. And that will be an 0-1 count against Hamilton. And that is fouled, so 0-2 count here for Hamilton as Green trying to stop the bleeding before it really gets started. A runner in scoring position at second base, but no one at third, and a runner at first base as well. 2 strikes, 0-2 count with 2 outs on the board. The pitch here from Green is hit again, fouled in the same spot as that first one, so the count will remain the same as Hamilton has gotten contact on all 3 pitches thrown so far. And that pitch outside for a ball. 1-2 now the count for Oliver Hamilton, the catcher for Dubois County. And that is rifled to the shortstop Keebler, who will come up with the catch. And we will head to the second inning there as the Hoppers escape what could have been a big inning from the Bombers. In that bottom of the first inning, 1 run is scored though, and the score now remains Hoppers 4, Bombers 1. We will head to the second inning and be back in just a moment. We are back here in the top of the second inning, and Reed Douglas is up to the plate. Reed Douglas led things off for the Hoppers in the beginning of this game, which means the Hoppers made it all the way through their lineup in the very first inning. And so the same exact spot the Hoppers were in the first will start in the second. And a ball thrown right away to Douglas, who walked in his first at-bat. The Hoppers trying to repeat what they did in the first here, as that pitch is outside for a ball, 2-0 the count. And Douglas will hit that one well to left field, but the left fielder will get under it and make the catch. And that will be the first out of the second inning, as Reed Douglas gets good contact on that ball, but not able to put it in the right spot. And the first out is gained a lot sooner than it was in the first inning. So here's Sam Perkins, who did have a single in his first at-bat last inning. He will immediately hit one that bounces off the glove of the second baseman, or not second baseman, excuse me, the pitcher, and slowly goes to the second baseman, who is unable to make the play in time. So that is now another single for Sam Perkins, that one on the very first pitch of the count. So Sam Perkins off with 2 singles already in this game. Getting started well. He likes to hit those. Both of his shots, I believe, going towards right field. Normally he likes to swing them to the left. That one was more right down the middle, but the pitcher's glove sent it a little bit to the right. And this is Luis Vergara at the plate for Hoptown now with a runner at first base. And that pitch called a ball, must have been a little low, looked all right from here. 1-0 the count. And that is inside for another ball. 2-0 now the count. And that pitch goes off of the bat, and Vergara angry with himself for letting that bat sneak off the shoulder. If he didn't, that would have been an inside pitch for a ball. So a foul instead makes it a 2-1 count now for Vergara. And he will immediately hit that one well, and it is going to land in front of the left fielder, who will get it into the infield. Sam Perkins now at second base, and a pretty hit there from Luis Vergara for his first hit of the day. He reached on fielder's choice in the first inning. So back-to-back singles for the Hoppers will put a runner in scoring position and a runner on first base as well. As Dom Oliverio steps up to the plate, he struck out, and his first at-bat was the first out of this game to a different pitcher. He'll swing and miss right away on the first pitch there. 0-1 the count now to Oliverio. And a high pitch there for a ball. 1-1 the count. 1 out on the board and 2 runners on, one of which is in scoring position. That's Sam Perkins, who is a very fast runner, so a wild pitch here would be dangerous for Dubois. And another swing and a miss from Oliverio for a 1-2 count now, as he threatens to strike out once again. Will have to play his cards carefully here in the top of the second inning. Does not want to be the second out here for Hoptown after Perkins and Luis Vergara able to get hits and get on base. And a check swing, and he's called a strike. And so he will strike out once again on the check swing. 2 strikeouts for Dominic Oliverio, and that is the second out here in the second inning. Carter Hood steps up to the plate now. He was hit by a pitch in his first at-bat in the first inning and scored the first run of the game when he got hit. Walked in Reed Douglas. And a low pitch there to get things started off to him. 1-0 the count. Runners at second and first still. And 2 outs on the board after the strikeout. And Hood will swing on an inside pitch there for the first strike to his count. It's 1-1 now for Hood. And another swing, that one on a low pitch in the dirt. 1-2 now the count, as the pitcher Dalton Wasson trying to strike out back-to-back hitters and get out of this top of the second inning without giving up any runs. And that's an outside pitch to even up the count at 2 apiece, and the twos are wild here in the second inning. A lot of twos. I see 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs in the second inning and 2 runners on base. And a ball in the dirt there will fill up the count, as a good eye from Carter Hood able to keep himself from swinging on a similar pitch to what he swung on just a moment before. And you have a full count with runners at second and first here threatening to load the bases. And a foul there. Hood lucky. The catcher unable to grab the ball after it goes off his bat. And so the count will remain the same at 3-2. And a foul there from Hood will keep the count at 3-2 as he fights to stay alive. That pitch low, and Carter Hood will walk after some good plate discipline there to not strike out. Leaves the bases loaded once again for Hoptown, and Robert Estrada is at the plate. Estrada walked in his first at-bat. And he will immediately hit one to the second baseman, or shortstop, excuse me, who will throw it to second base and get the out. So that will end the top of the second inning as the Hoppers load the bases but are unable to score any runs. The score remains 4-1, and we will head to the bottom of the second as the Bombers try to inch their way back into this game. We will be right back with Hoptown Hoppers TV. We are back here in the bottom of the second inning as this will be Braxton Templin, the second baseman, at the plate. The score is 4-1, Hoppers lead, and a ball there to get things started for Green here in the second inning. And a strike thrown and a second pitch for a 1-1 count. And that is hit well in the, it'll land and be extra bases, potentially a triple here. And he will stop at second. That giant hit there, that one looked like it was going to be able to be played. It was in the air so long, but it was perfectly placed in between the center and right fielders, and it goes all the way back to the wall. And if you have a faster runner there, that may have been a triple. But he'll stop at second base for a very, very solid start to this second inning for Dubois County. Here's Brevin Brisek, the designated hitter, at the plate now with a runner in scoring position and no outs on the board. And he will immediately hit one to right field. Estrada will grab it, but no, he will stay at second base. And a very nice throw from right field to get that in. And that was the right choice to stay at second. So first out there is caught in right field, and the runner remains at second base. And now Cooper Blythe, the first baseman, will now step up to the plate. And a low pitch there for the ball. 1-0 the count to Blythe. And a swing and a miss for a strike there to even things up at 1 apiece. 1-1 the count now. 1 out on the board and a runner at second base for Dubois County. That pitch is called a ball for a 2-1 count. And that pitch is a strike. So now 2-2 the count as Green looking to grab his first strikeout of the day as we are at the last batter in their lineup before the top. And he'll throw a low pitch there for a full count, 3-2 with 1 out on the board. And that pitch will hit the batter. So not only will it be a walk, but it'll be a hit batter going to first base. So on the 2-2 count, unable to get him, and on the 3-2 count, he goes ahead and says he's not going to waste a pitch and hits the batter. Runners now at second and first base with 1 out on the board. And we are back at the top of the lineup with Jay Flynn, the shortstop, who swung on his first pitch he saw against Green earlier in this game, and just the last inning, in fact. And that one flies over his head. He has to duck for it, and Reed Douglas has seen enough to where he would go and check the mound and speak with Green. Reed and Miles chatted it up a little bit, and Reed will head back to the plate. And they will resume here. 1-0 the count, 1 out on the board, and runners at second and first base. Bombers were able to pick up 1 run in the first inning, trying to grab more here, as that pitch is fouled off for a 1-1 count. And that is rifled to the second baseman, and they're able to get a double play out of it. How about that? The second shot rifled at John Keebler, or shortstop, excuse me. I don't know why I keep saying second baseman, and they're able to throw it to second as the runner tried to jump. And that is a double play, and the Hoppers make it out of the second inning without giving up a run, even though it looked a little sketchy there. And we will head to the third inning as the Hoppers remain ahead 4-1. We will be right back with Hoptown Hoppers TV. We are back here at the top of the third inning as Chase Cummings set to bat here. Struck out in his first at bat. And he'll start things off with a strike in his second. Hoppers still leading 4-1. Both teams went scoreless in the second inning as that pitch is high for a ball. 1-1 the count. And Cummings will hit that one well, but the shortstop, Flynn, makes an athletic grab over his, kind of turns around, not really looking at the ball, and makes that grab so impressive from Jay Flynn at shortstop, as that was also well hit from Cummings. So both sides of the ball there with an impressive look. And we're back to Manuel Villalobos, who had a single in his first at bat and will start things off with the ball here in his second. And a strike called there, 1-1 the count. And he'll swing and miss on that one, put a lot into it, almost loses his balance in the box. 1-2 now the count as Villalobos trying to fight and get someone on base for the Hoppers here in the third. And a swing there to the third baseman, who grabs it and will make the throw, and he does. And an athletic stretch there from the first baseman, Blythe, to grab the ball before Villalobos makes it in. So that's two quick outs for the Hoppers here in the third inning. And now John Keebler, who struck out in his first at bat on some iffy calls, I will say. He's not a guy who strikes out very often, has one of the better on-base percentages on this team. And he will start things off right away with a shot to the shortstop, who makes the throw. Keebler's out at first, and we will head to the bottom of the third inning in a very quick top of the third as 3 up, 3 down. Cummings, Villalobos, Keebler. And we will head back to the top of the lineup next time we see the Hoppers. As far as the Dubois County Bombers are concerned, we are also back at the top of the lineup for them. Actually, I don't think so. I think Jay Flynn already batted. And so we will start off with Aaron Busick, the center fielder. I'll take this quick moment, as normally I would do this in the fourth or fifth inning, but today, since we are in the seventh inning, or we are in a 7-inning game, and this is basically the halfway point of that, I will go ahead and give you today's or this year's Hopper season sponsors. We have Jones Brothers, White's Auto Mall, Chick-fil-A, Huggard Beard and Giles, Planters Bank, Oak Grove Racing and Gaming, the City of Hopkinsville, Pennyrile Electric, HWEA, Charlie Henderson State Farm, WHVO, Bikes and More, All Clean Services, Higgins Insurance, and Super Lawn and Garden. Those are your Hoppers season sponsors. Thank you to all of you for making the Hoppers season go well and the summer for these guys go well all summer. So we are back here in the bottom of the third inning. No break for this one as the top was so fast, and the score is 4-1 Hoppers as they try to hold on to this lead, something they've struggled to do throughout the season. Got up to a 4-0 lead in the top of the first, immediately gave up one run, and both teams went scoreless in the second. Hoppers went very quietly in the top of this inning, and the Bombers now with another opportunity to chip away at this lead. And they will start off with Aaron Busick, the center fielder, who flew out. No, I believe he was thrown out at first base in his first at-bat in the first inning. And Green will start things off with a strike to Busick. A very pretty pitch there from Green, looking like it was going outside, coming back in at just the right time. And the second pitch is inside, but Busick swings, so 0-2 the count now to Busick. That pitch actually got past Reed Douglas, but Busick swung anyway. And he swings there. That ball is in the dirt, and Douglas will make the throw to first. And Villalobos steps on the bag, and an athletic stretch from him. He actually falls off all the way almost, but keeps his toe on the bag and gets the out. So sketchy out there for Hoptown, but an out nonetheless. And I'll just repeat, I've said it before, that's one of the dumbest rules in baseball, that somebody can swing 3 times or strike out, and because it ends up in the dirt, they can run it out to first. I think that's dumb. I know nobody cares, and my analysis of baseball rules that have existed for millennia probably does nothing for the sport, but I've always thought that was just a bit of a cop-out for a guy who shouldn't have been swinging at the pitch anyway. And that one's fouled off right away for an 0-1 count. This is Joey Milto, who walked in his first at-bat, was actually the runner who scored that first run for Dubois. That pitch is outside for a ball, 1-1 the count. And that pitch is pretty for a strike, 1-2 now the count. And that pitch is fouled, so the count will remain the same. I didn't mention on that last batter, that was Miles Green's first strikeout of the game. And an outside pitch there to even things up at 2 apiece. 2-2 now the count with 1 out on the board. And that pitch popped up infield towards the shortstop Keebler, who will make the catch. And that's the second out here of the inning for Dubois County, who have also not been able to get somebody on base yet. And this is Caden Harless, the third baseman, who had a single in his first at-bat. 2 outs now on the board and no runners on base. And that pitch is very much down the middle for a strike. 0-1 the count. As Miles Green here in the third inning, throwing more strikes, finally finding consistency in the zone, and that is check swinged, and he's going to call him. So 0-2 now the count for Harless. And that pitch is not called a strike, but everyone on the Hoppers side seemed to think it was. Miles Green was heading off the mound. Reed Douglas was heading back to the dugout. The infield started walking. But no, it's called a ball. 1-2 the count with 2 outs on the board. And that pitch, once again, everybody starts walking. And it's called a ball once again. 2-2 now. The twos are wild. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. And that's actually, I don't know if either of those were a strike. Again, I don't have the greatest view. But everybody in the Hoppers, on the Hoppers seemed to think they were. And that pitch is hit well, and it will drop towards center field. And he will stay at first. So another single there for Harless after a couple of calls the Hoppers thought were strikes. And here's Paul Austing, the right fielder. He also had a single in his first at-bat. So a runner now at first base and a player who already has a hit in this game at the plate. And you're hoping that those 2 calls that Green didn't get in his head, as he'll start things off with a foul. 0-1 the count. And that pitch hit towards the second baseman Perkins, who will make the throw to first, and it is made. So even though a runner did get on, nothing really able to get done there for Dubois, and some efficient pitching from Green will send us to the 4th inning here. And the score remains Hoppers 4, Bombers 1. We will be right back with Hoptown Hoppers TV and more Hoptown Hoppers baseball. We are back here in the top of the 4th inning, and we are already back again at the top of the lineup as Reed Douglas is once again batting. He has a walk in this game, and I believe flew out in his second at-bat. And he'll start things off with a foul here in his third. I do want to say I think the PA said Douglas instead of Douglas, and I don't know if I've ever heard of someone with a last name Douglas. A ball was thrown there, 1-1. I don't, there's some names that, people need help with, and I'm one of those. There's been teams I need some help with names. I don't know if Douglas has ever been one of them. So that's a ball thrown 2-1 to Douglas. Reed here, one of the If I had to guess, I don't know his on-base percentage. One of the better walkers on the team. 2-2 there, as that's called a strike. Looked a little high, and Douglas, I think, agrees, talking to the umpire about it. And Douglas hits a very pretty hit right inside the line. Douglas will head to second base, and he will make it there very easily. A very pretty hit there as it flies right over the third baseman, who I think thought it was going foul, and lands just inside. So a very pretty double there from Reed Douglas, and a very good way to get things started in the fourth inning for Hoptown. And now you have Sam Perkins, who has 2 singles already in this game, and who is a very consistent player. Also a very fast player, someone you'd like to see on base. He's now at the plate. He was about to bunt, and he actually pulls it back, so 1-0 the count. And you know Sam Perkins, he is the premier bunter for this Hoppers team. And he'll foul that one off. 1-1 now the count.
Clothing, shoes, decor, and more. Jasper, they sponsor our foul balls this season.
And he was about to bunt again there after swinging on his last one. So 2-1 now the count for Perkins, who, like I said, a consistent player as far as hitting is concerned, but probably wouldn't mind a walk if this pitcher isn't going to throw it for his bunt. And he swings there, and that pitch is hit towards right field. Douglas is going to go, and that is a good throw, but Douglas is in safe as that ball actually hits him. Not only does the ball hit him, I think he also ran into the third baseman, so hopefully he's all right. And he is. He's all right. This is the second time in this game where he's kind of been shaken up. But he's standing up straight, and he looks all right. And Sam Perkins does his job to advance the runner. So now a runner in scoring position, or I guess there already was a runner in scoring position, but now a runner on third base. And only 1 out on the board. Luis Vergara now at the plate, and he had a single in his last at-bat. And he will get things started with another one, a perfectly hit ball over the second baseman, and Reed Douglas will stroll into home for the 5th run of the night for the Hoppers, and a very pretty hit there from Vergara on the first pitch he saw, as Wasson is throwing with velocity, and he is throwing better than the starter did for the Bombers, but he does throw it pretty much in the strike zone on every pitch, minus a couple. And so these guys, if they can find it in there, are getting hits against him. And when they do, they're going into the outfield as he's throwing with some speed. But yeah, he's one of those guys that looks that he likes to throw strikes and not fool around with getting guys to swing on outside pitches. And so this is Dominic Oliverio at the plate, a strike thrown there. And he has struck out in both of his at-bats so far today. And he'll swing and miss there on a low pitch. 0-2 now the count, as Oliverio is just not looking like himself in this game so far. Still has plenty of time, as he'll probably play in the second game today as well. So has about 10 more innings of baseball in him today, most likely, to find his rhythm. But starting off an 0-2 count here after striking out for his first 2 at-bats, just not looking like himself. So here he is with a chance to redeem himself here and not strike out again. And he does. Swing and a miss on an outside pitch. Oliverio shaking his head. I'm sure he's upset with himself. And that's only the second out. And he'll talk. Coach Dubois will try to keep his head up and keep swinging. And this is Carter Hood now at the plate, who has walked in both of his at-bats, and swings there for a miss. 0-1 now the count for Carter Hood. He actually got hit by a pitch in his first at bat and then walked legitimately in his second. And that pitch is outside. Vergara goes to steal second, and they actually throw that ball into the outfield, and Luis Vergara will advance all the way to third base. And I'll be 100% honest with you, if that was a better throw, Vergara is probably hosed at second base. He was not moving too quick, and the catcher had a pretty big jump on him, but that throw is way off base and gets into the outfield, and Luis Vergara now at third base, and 1-1 count for Carter Hood as he has a chance to bring in Vergara for another run in this inning. And that ball's outside, not necessarily wild, but 2-1. And Luis Vergara actually scored earlier in this game on a wild pitch that flew into the netting behind home plate. And was maybe itching to do so again there as the catcher does a good job of keeping that ball in front of him. 2-1 the count. That pitch is low, so 3-1 the count for Carter Hood as he threatens to get another walk in this game, get on base in all three of his at-bats. And if I'm correct, he would be, no, Luis Vergara also did. He reached on fielder's choice in his first at-bat. So Luis and Carter both, and that is inside, so Carter will walk. So runners on the corners, and Luis Vergara and Carter Hood have both reached base on all three of their at-bats today, just in different ways. Carter Hood's walked in all three of his, and Luis, 2 singles and a fielder's choice to reach in all three of his. And now we have Robert Estrada, who walked in his first at-bat and flew out in his, or not flew out, he was thrown out at first base in his second. And he'll get things started with a strike. 0-1 the count to Estrada. And a swing and a miss there for an 0-2 count to Estrada. So Robert Estrada will have to fight here and try to bring this run in. And he swings, and he unable to pull that bat back, and he follows through with it for a strikeout. So that will be it for the top of the 4th inning for Hoptown, as Robert Estrada's strikeout ends things with a runner on third and first base. And we will head to the bottom of the 4th inning with the Dubois County Bombers getting a chance to get that 1 run back they just lost in that inning. And we will be right back with more Hoptown Hoppers TV and Hoptown Hoppers baseball. We're back in the bottom of the 4th inning as Oliver Hamilton, the catcher, will now be up to bat for the Bombers. Flew out in his first at bat, and he'll get things started with a ball. 1-0. Miles Green remains on the mound for Hoptown here in the bottom of the 4th. Reminder that this is a 7-inning game, as this is a doubleheader. Both games will be 7 innings. Now the count for Hamilton. And that is hit straight down the middle. And Oliverio will come up with it in center field and bring it into the infield, but that is a single for Hamilton. This is Braxton Templin, who had the big double in his last at-bat. That was probably the biggest hit we've seen today. We've seen one more double from Reed Douglas on the Hopper side, but Templin's shot was to the wall, and there's a runner on first base, no outs. And Braxton Templin at the plate. And he will try to bunt it there. It goes foul actually on top of the stadium here for a 0-1 count to get things started for Templin. And that is a wild pitch that will send the runner to second base and bring a 1-1 count to Templin. And there may have been another wild pitch in this game from Green, but that's the only one I can remember, as Miles Green is a reliever for this team starting tonight in the 7-inning game. And so this is already one of his longer outings for the Hoppers this year in the 4th inning. He is used to pitching at about 2 innings max. Here in the 4th inning for him, wouldn't be surprised if he starts losing the zone. And there's another far outside pitch. That one brought in by Douglas. And now that runner's at second base, no outs on the board. And you really don't see anybody warming up in the bullpen. You have a couple guys down there, but none of them seem to be warming up, or at least seriously warming up, as that pitch is fouled off 2-2. Not that Miles Green can't come out here and keep pitching. It's just that you have to wonder if there's a point where he's not used to pitching this long and will start to struggle. You might want to have someone moving in the bullpen to counteract that if it were to happen. 2-2 the count, though, with no outs on the board and a runner at second. And that pitch is hit directly to Green, who will keep the runner at second base and make the throw to first. A good defensive play there by Green as he checks his shoulder twice to make sure that runner doesn't move to third. And he will get the out at first base. That is the second time he has had to throw it to first base tonight. 1 out on the board, a runner still at first base, and this is Brevin Bresack at the plate. Bresack in the first game last week against the Hoppers didn't hit very well. In this game, he's already flown out once. He'll immediately hit that one foul towards first base. Almost stays fair. Probably actually may have preferred it to stay fair, would have advanced that runner to third base, but instead the runner stays at second and the count is 0-1. And that pitch, once again, off the bat. That time a little bit more accidentally as he starts to drop the bat off of his shoulder, and the ball actually would have been way off the plate, but it comes in contact with the bat. So 0-2 count now for Bresack. And that pitch just a tad low, so 1-2 now the count against Bresack. Miles Green, and let me look just to make sure, has only struck out one batter in this game. He's a pitcher who likes to let his defense work. The defense knows that, and they're doing well tonight to do so. And just as I say that, he'll strike Bresack out. So Bresack will sit down, and that will be the second out of the bottom of the 4th inning. And the runner still sticking at second base. And Cooper Blythe, who walked in his first at-bat, will now be at the plate. 2 outs on the board and a runner at second who reached there with no outs on the board. Green doing a good job to reel this thing back in. Throws a ball there, 1-0 the count to Blythe. Green will make a move and take some time off, and will continue this at bat. Green is a pretty leisurely pitcher, does not move too quick. That pitch inside and low for a ball, 2-0 the count. That pitch swung and missed, 2-1 the count for Blythe. And that is a foul ball going over the stadium ceiling. So 2-2 now as the twos are wild. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, and a runner on second base. As Green trying to get out of this 4th inning. And that ball hit towards center field. Dom Oliveria will get under it and make the catch. So nothing goes the way of the Bombers there as they're unable to bring that runner in. And the score remains Hoppers 5, Bombers 1. We will head to the top of the 5th inning in this 7-inning ball game. Hoppers still leading, and we will be right back with more Hoptown Hoppers baseball and Hoptown Hoppers TV. We are back here in the top of the 5th inning. Chase Cummings at the plate now for the Hoppers, and the Bombers with a new pitcher. This is Cooper Chin, number 13 out of Bradley University, a rival of my College Murray State, and Bradley with the worst logo in college sports. We'll start things off with a strike there to Chase Cummings. Cummings today with a fly out and a strikeout in his 2 at-bats. And that pitch is outside for a ball, 1-1 the count. I will mention in that out, or I guess it was more of a line out, well hit by Cummings, but the shortstop able to make a pretty play on it. That pitch is outside. Actually, it may have been a tad bit high for a ball, 2-1 the count. This is the 3rd pitcher today for the Bombers, while the Hoppers still have only pitched 1 pitcher, being Miles Green. As that pitch is high for a ball, 3-1. Normally, the Hoppers are the team that kind of falls behind as far as having to pitch several guys for not very long stints. So far in this game, they've been a little bit more consistent with their pitching. As that pitch is outside, and Cummings will walk.
I know most of the kiddos, they're running around, but anyway, we'd like to recognize the Perry Central 8 and under All-Stars are here.
And now at the plate will be Manuel Miggy Villalobos, and Miggy had a single in his first at-bat and I believe was thrown out in his second at-bat. And that pitch was a strike. So both batters starting against Chin so far have started off with a strike. Threw 4 straight balls to Cummings, and now Villalobos facing an 0-1 count. And he'll foul that one off over the dugout of Hoptown. Oh, 0-2 count for Villalobos, and that pitch is outside for a ball, 1-2. So an 0-2 count for Villalobos, a 1-2 count for Villalobos, and a runner on first base. And he will swing and miss for a strikeout. Villalobos will sit down for the first strikeout of Chin's night. And this is John Keebler, who has struck out and I believe was thrown out in his 2 at-bats. And a strike right down the middle to him. 0-1 count for Keebler. And he will hit that one to the shortstop, who will make the throw to first and beat Keebler. And I'll be honest with you, Keebler kind of jogging that one out, maybe thinking that throw was going to come faster than it did. If he were in a more of a full sprint there, I think he probably beats that throw. He was about a step behind and kind of jogged it out there at the end. So I don't know, not 100% sure, but he looked like he slowed up a little bit when he should have ran through it. And so Cummings will make it to second base, but that'll be the second out on the board for the Hoppers here in the top of the 5th. And a strike called there against Douglas. He has started off, or Chin has started off with a strike to every batter so far for the Hoppers that he has seen. Reed Douglas had a big double in his last at-bat. Walked in his first. This is his 4th. So 1 for 2 so far today. That pitch outside for a ball. So a 1-1 count now. 2 outs on the board and a runner at second base. Kind of a similar situation to what we just saw from Dubois in the bottom of the 4th. And that pitch swung on and fouled. A 1-2 count now for Douglas. And still not much activity Not much activity in the bullpen for Hoptown, as a wild pitch there slides under Douglas, but not wild enough to bring Cummings to third base. And twos are wild here for Reed Douglas. Twos across the board and Chase Cummings at second base. Not much activity in the Hoppers bullpen, so assuming that Miles Green will start the 5th inning here for the Hoppers in this 7-inning ball game. That pitch called a ball outside, not exactly sure where it missed. It looked fine from here. I don't have the greatest vantage point, but the catcher not disputing it, so I guess it probably was a ball. So 3-2 full count for Reed Douglas. And he hits that one, and it's in a good spot, but it looks like the right fielder will make the catch, and he does. So that will be it for the top of the 5th, and the Hoppers will go down. And we will head to the bottom of the 5th. The score remains Hoptown 5, Dubois County 1. We will be right back with Hoptown Hoppers baseball. And we are back here at the bottom of the 5th inning. And the Bombers back up to bat, and leading off for them will be Jay Flynn, the shortstop. Flynn has, I believe, been thrown out at first and flew out in both of his at-bats today. And Green remains on the mound, will immediately throw one directly over the head of Flynn, who I believe he did the same too in his last at-bat, so I hope Flynn doesn't feel like Green's trying to hit him. Fifth inning here for Miles Green. Started tonight after being a reliever all summer. You're wondering if the extended innings will affect him at some point. Throws a strike there. He's been throwing well. Again, not a pitcher that gets a lot of strikeouts. Only has 2 tonight, I believe. 3, No. I believe he only has 2. Yes, only 2 strikeouts, and there's a wild pitch. 2-1 the ball. Or 2-1 the count, excuse me. And he does a good job of getting batters to hit it to certain parts of the field, and he's been doing a good job of that tonight. Throws a high pitch there, 3-1 the count. Also has not walked many, as he's threatening to do so here, but if I can count him up, he's only walked 2. He has given up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hits, as he throws a strike there to fill up the count. 3-2 the count now, no outs on the board, as Flynn leads things off for the Bombers. and a swing and a miss there. That one will roll out deep, and they're able to make the throw to first. A good job there from Reed Douglas as a strikeout there for Miles Green, his third of the game. And now Aaron Busick is up to bat. He's one of the two that Green had struck out previous to that one. He will immediately hit that one to the first baseman, Villalobos, who will throw it to Green, makes the run over to first, and that's 2 quick outs for the Hoppers here in the bottom of the 5th inning. That pitch to Joey Milto is high for a ball. Milto has walked today, but that's it. And there's a strike thrown. That pitch is just outside, so 2-1 the count. And that pitch is hit well towards right field. Robert Estrada will come after it and leave the batter at first base, but that is a single for Joey Milto. 2 outs and a runner on first base will bring up Caden Harless, who has a single in both of his at-bats. The only batter, I believe, who has made it on base in both of his at-bats. And yes, Harless reaching on 2 singles, and Green will start things off with a strike. And another one, that one with a ton of speed, as Green flips around on the mound after throwing that one. Then 0-2 quick count to Harless. And Green not liking how the mound is looking, so they'll do a quick timeout to check the mound out, and I think Green kind of patted it down, and so he's back up there, and the home plate umpire is back behind the plate. And that is hit well towards center field, and Oliverio will come up and make the catch. And that'll be it for the 5th inning. We will head to the 6th inning as the score remains Hoppers 5, Bombers only 1. And we will be right back with Hoptown Hoppers baseball in the top of the 6th inning. And we are back here, top of the 6th inning, and Sam Perkins will lead things off for the Hoppers. Has 2 singles in this game already. Remember, folks, this is a 7-inning ball game, so the Bombers have 2 more shots at getting back into this game, and the Hoppers have 2 more at adding some insurance runs. And there's a high pitch to Perkins to get things started, 1-0 count. There will be another game, as this is a doubleheader directly after this one. Probably will take a 15 or so minute break and get things started. As of right now, the original game was supposed to be played at 6:30 Hoptown time, 7:30 here. But because of some late umpires, as we're starting off with a 3-0 count to Perkins, some late umpires pushed that original game back a little bit. And now we're looking at maybe 6:45 or 7 o'clock start time, as 4 straight balls will walk Perkins. And Luis Vergara now at the plate with a runner on first base and no outs on the board. Hoppers leading 5-1, have held that lead for the majority of this game. 4-0 started off and then let up a run in the first. Bombers have not scored since the first inning, as that pitch is going to drop in for a strike. 0-1 the count. And, you know, if I'm being honest with you, there's some pitchers warming up in the bullpen, but none of them seem to be pitching real seriously, as Vergara hits that one directly to the right fielder, and that'll be the first out here in the top of the 6th. I wonder if they will have Miles Green pitch in the 6th inning. I'm not sure. I've kind of figured 5 would probably be his night. That's been the max of most starters this year for the Hoppers, but maybe trying to throw him as long as they can and not lose another arm here in this first game. And that pitch will be a ball. This is Dom Oliverio at the plate, and he has struck out in all 3 of his at-bats today. Trying to change the scene here, and actually he already got a strike thrown to him, and he'll foul that one off. So a 1-2 count for Oliverio. Trying his best not to strike out once again. Has not looked like himself today at the plate. Has been playing pretty solid in center field, I will say. Has made several catches, and actually a couple big throws as well. But has not been batting well, and he will go down on strikes for the 4th time in this game. Oh no, excuse me. The scoreboard operator confused me. So I was right from the beginning. So that was his 2nd strike, and he will remain in the box. The scoreboard operator tried to swindle me. And he'll foul that one off to remain alive and keep the count at 1-2.
This is the first of 2 games, 2 7-inning games here at Dubois Stadium.
And that pitch is low in the dirt, and Perkins tried to steal, and I'll be honest, I thought he beat that throw, but he didn't slide in. He kind of slid in on his butt more than a normal slide, and I think almost he may have lifted his legs up and was able to get tagged before he reached the base. So Perkins was thrown out at second base, and so that will be no runners on base and 2 outs on the board, as Oliverio now trying to stay alive. And he won't. He will swing and miss once again, and that'll be the strikeout, and that will quickly end the top of the 6th inning just like that. And we will head to the bottom of the 6th after an odd turnaround there for the Bombers versus the Hoppers. But the score does remain at 5-1. We will be right back with Hoptown Hoppers TV. We are back here in the bottom of the 6th inning as we do have a pitching change. It looked like there for a minute that Miles Green may pitch here in the 6th, but it looks like his night is over, and Green did have an excellent starting appearance today. So props to Miles Green, only allowing 1 run, and I believe he only walked 2 today. So excellent outing for Miles Green, and taking over for him on the mound will be Jack McGuire, who has, unlike Green, it's kind of flipped today. McGuire has started games for the majority of the year, but he's coming in and will likely pitch these last 2 innings if he does well here. And he is a left-handed pitcher, so a new look. And throws a high ball there, 1-0 the count. Not a ton of speed, but McGuire has a lot of movement on his pitches. Also works pretty slow, kind of like Green. And that pitch is fouled off for a 1-1 count. Good contact, though. And that pitch is straight down the middle for a strike. 1-2 now, the count. And that pitch is low for a ball. Douglas loses the ball. 2-2 count now for number 20. This is Paul Osting, I believe. And he has a single in this game. And he'll foul that one off as well to keep the count at 2-2. And that is popped up, and Douglas will try to track it down, and he is able to, and he makes the catch, an impressive catch there from Reed Douglas for the first out here in the bottom of the 6th inning on the foul pop-up. And that will bring up Oliver Hamilton, who singled in his last at-bat. 1 out on the board and no runners on here in the bottom of the 6th. The Dubois County Bombers will have this inning and the next to try to win this game. Only a 7-inning ball game in this doubleheader tonight. And that pitch is outside for a ball, 1-0. That pitch low for a ball, 2-0 the count to Hamilton. And that pitch hit to the third baseman Hood, who has a good arm, and he will make the throw easily to first base for the second out of the inning. So kind of like Green, McGuire, not a guy who strikes out very many, but puts it in a spot where the defense can work. And he picks up the first 2 outs that way. And now Braxton Templin, who had the big double earlier in this game in his first at-bat, will come up to the plate. 2 outs on the board and nobody on as of right now. And a ball thrown there outside. And that pitch hit to the second baseman Perkins, who will make the throw, and he does. And that's 3 up, 3 down for Jack McGuire. And we will head to the top of the 7th inning for the Hoppers' final chance to add some insurance runs. And we will be right back with Hoptown Hoppers TV and Hoptown Hoppers Baseball. We are back here in the top of the 7th inning, and if you were watching the screen there, they had some kids race in what looked to be goat masks for the goat race, as the PA announcer said. An interesting 7th inning or end of the 6th inning on-field game there. But this is Carter Hood at the plate now, and Cooper Chin still pitching, throws a strike there right away. 0-1 the count to Hood. And Hood remains the final Hoppers batter to reach base in all of his at-bats today. Sees a ball there for a 1-1 count. And watches it go by for a strike there, 1-2 the count. And he'll foul that one off to keep fighting. And he'll foul that one off as well. So Carter Hood here surviving and keeping the count where it is at 1-2. That's an outside pitch to even things up at 2 apiece. And another foul from Carter Hood. This is a 7-inning ball game, so this will be the Hoppers' final chance to add some insurance runs before the Bombers are given a chance to win it in the bottom of this inning. Hoppers have led the entire game as a high pitch there to fill the count up. Scored 4 of their 5 runs in the top of the 1st inning. A big inning for Hoptown, and then gave up a run in the same inning. And then the 5th run for Hoppers came in the 4th. And a swing and a miss on the full count there for Carter Hood and a strikeout. So Hood will go down swinging for a strikeout. And Robert Estrada, who struck out himself in his last at-bat, will come up to the plate now with an out on the board and nobody on. He'll go for a bunt and pull it back. So that's a ball, 1-0, he counts. Estrada with a lot of speed, someone who can lay a bunt down and beat it out at first. And that's a low pitch for a 2-0 count. And that pitch hit towards the shortstop, who able to make the throw actually. An impressive stretch there from the first baseman, but the umpire saying he came off of the base and that Robert Estrada is safe. Looked like he was out from here, but I don't have a great look on the foot of the first baseman. He definitely had to stretch for that one. Jumped pretty much, came pretty close to doing the splits there on first base to come up with that ball. And so I guess the back foot came off, but looked like a tight one. So a runner at first and 1 out on the board for the Hoppers here. And that's a very fast runner at first as well. And that's a ball to Chase Cummings, who's now at the plate. And the runner will go, and he's going to be out. And he is indeed. He got a very late jump, and he'll be the second out of the inning. And like I said, a very, very late jump there. I don't know exactly what he was trying to do. I think he probably would have got there if he had gone in time, but that throw had been made by the time he started running. So maybe a miscue from Coach Reed at first base, as that's called a strike, 2-1 the count. And a swing and a miss there from Cummings, and now the twos are wild. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 outs, and no runners on base now after Robert Estrada was picked off at second base trying to steal. And the Hoppers on their final strike of the game right now. And Cummings will foul that one off. Looked pretty good, but goes foul. The count remains the same at 2-2. And that's a low pitch to fill the count up at 3-2. That's well hit, but it's hit directly at the second baseman. And that'll be it for the top of the 7th inning. And we will head to the bottom of the 7th, where the Bombers will have a chance to win the game. Right now the score is Hoppers 5, Bombers 1. So they have some work to do if they want to do that. I'll take the opportunity here, as Jack McGuire will remain on the mound for the Hoppers, to once again go through our Hopper season sponsors. And hopefully the music in the background isn't blasting too loud for you not to hear me. It's pretty loud in my ears. But we have Jones Brothers, White's Auto Mall, Chick-fil-A, Huggard, Beard and Giles, Planters Bank, Oak Grove Racing and Gaming, the City of Hopkinsville, Penny Ryle Electric, HWEA, Charlie Henderson State Farm, WHVO, Bikes and More, All Clean Services, Higgins Insurance, and Super Lawn and Garden. Those are your Hopper season sponsors. Thank you to all of those sponsors for making the Hopper season go so well here. And here we go. It's the bottom of the 7th inning. Jack McGuire on the mound, and the music is blasting here in League Stadium. As of right now, if this inning goes how every inning's been going, this second game will probably start sometime around 7. If this inning were to take a while, then it'll probably be after, but I think 6:45 is out of the question at this point. So as of right now, plan for a 7 p.m. start time for that second game, but don't quote me on that. I could be wrong. Hopefully they started at 7. Hopefully they don't start it any later. I'm sure this team wants to get home relatively early tonight. And a strike thrown right away from Jack McGuire. And that pitch low and outside for a ball, 1-1. This is, I believe, Cooper Blythe at the plate. 37, this actually is Brevin Bresack. So 2 balls and 1 strike on the count, and Brevin Bresack at the plate. He hasn't been able to get anything done today. In only 2 at-bats has flown out and struck out. And another ball thrown there by McGuire. So a 3-1 count here as Bresack threatens to get a runner on base with no outs. And a swing and a miss there. Slow early swing from Bresack for a full count, 3-2. If you're McGuire, a strikeout here would be huge. And man, you know, that's, I guess they're calling it low, but I'm not exactly sure where that one missed, and I'm not sure if Reed Douglas did either, because he's turning around and asking, or maybe he's signaling that that one was a little down. So yes, it was down, but from here it looked pretty good. Runner at first base and no outs on the board, and we are at the 9-hole hitter, Cooper Blythe. And he immediately hits one to the second baseman. I didn't even see that. It was so quick. And the bat was pretty much silent. So that's one out very quickly on the board for Blythe. And we are back at the top of the lineup. Jay Flynn, the shortstop. And that's a strike to get things started for him. He has not gotten on base today, has struck out once, and I believe thrown out in both of his other at-bats. One out on the board, a runner at first base. That's Bresack, who walked just a moment ago. And a pitch there looked pretty good. Called a ball. 1-1 the count for Jay Flynn. That pitch definitely outside for a ball. 2-1 now the count. That is hit directly to center field. Dom Oliveria will get under it, and he will make the easy catch. He's had quite a few of those tonight. And that's the second out here in the bottom of the seventh, as the Dubois County Bombers now on their final out in this first game of two with a runner on first base. This is Aaron Busick, who has also not gotten on base today for the Bombers. And that pitch is pretty for a strike. Off-speed pitch there. 0-1 the count to Busick. And there's a swing and a miss on the same pitch. 0-. And another one, and that's a strikeout for Jack McGuire to end this first game for Hoptown. And that is a win in the first game of two in this doubleheader. And the final score here is Hoppers 5, Bombers 1, as the Bombers go pretty quietly here in the seventh. And as of right now, 6:40, the end of this game. They could get this game started quick and be back and played at 6:45. I doubt it. My best guess is probably a 7 o'clock start time, maybe somewhere in the middle. I'll keep the stream running, and we will be back for that second game. But I'm going to take a quick break and turn the stream, or turn my mic off, keep the stream running. Just be on the lookout or listen up for me. I'll jump back as soon as that second game starts. And we will be right back for the second game of tonight's doubleheader. Hoppers win the first one 5-1. And we are finally back here at 7:12 Hoptown time, 8:12 here in Huntington, Indiana for this second game of two. Doubleheader tonight. The Hoppers came away with the 5-1 victory in the first game, and second game about to get started. They took a little bit of time to get started, but the pitcher finished warming up, and I'll go ahead and give you your lineup for the Hoppers tonight. Sam Perkins starting off at second base, Stephen Bell in right field, Luis Vergara in left field, Dom Oliverio in center field. Tate Van Hooser is your designated hitter. Artem Logvanov is shortstop. Luis Villalba is behind the plate at catcher. Mac Biggs at first base, Gavin Baxter at third base, and your starting pitcher for Hoptown is Dylan Eaton. The starting pitcher for who just threw a ball for the Dubois County Bombers is Bobby Fowler. And this is Sam Perkins at the plate now. He hits that one well, and it will drop foul. 1-1 the count for Perkins. There's a ball thrown, 2-1 now, the count for Perkins. And there is a ball thrown, looked good from here, I guess high. Fowler has been throwing some sidearm pitches, but that was an overarm pitch. So definitely some different looks in his lineup as that ball outside for a walk for Perkins. It looked like Perkins thought it was a walk and then heard the umpire call strike. And I guess in reality he didn't call strike, so Sam Perkins is at first base. This is Stephen Bell now at the plate. Inside pitch for a ball there against Bell. And a low outside pitch for the second ball of the count. 2-0 now the count. Inside pitch for a ball there. So 3-0 now the count to Stephen Bell as he threatens to be back-to-back walks for the Hoppers, who scored 4 runs in the top of the last game's first inning and may have some electricity starting these games. And that's a low pitch for a walk, so Stephen Bell will go ahead and walk it out as well. And that's the first 2 batters walked, and the pitching coach for the Bombers will immediately head to the mound. Similar to last game, this time he's getting a little bit ahead and getting to the mound before things get really out of hand. I am trying to, as I call so far, trying to write down the starting lineup for the Bombers. A little bit behind schedule after this kind of odd start time. And there's a strike thrown right away to Luis Vergara. And Vergara will hit that one well, and it will be caught by the left fielder, an impressive running catch there from Carter Whitmore, not Carter Whitmore, Josh Newton, the left fielder for the Bombers. Here's Dom Oliverio, who struck out in all 4 of his at-bats in the last game, trying to get things started a little differently here in this one. He will immediately hit that one, and the left fielder once again making an impressive diving play to come up with that ball. So that's back-to-back big plays from Josh Newton in left field, who did not play in the last game. Here is Tate Van Hooser, who had a home run in last night's game. Designated hitter tonight for the Hoppers, and he will immediately be hit by the first pitch of the at-bat. So that will load up the bases. And here is Artem Logvinov, the shortstop for the Hoppers. Did not play in the last game. Watch that one go by for a strike. 0-1 the count to Logvinov, and loaded bases as the Hoppers try to strike first once again. And that is a strike, watching there to even the count up at 2 apiece. The 2s are wild now. 1 and 2, The scoreboard operator all over the place actually has it up as 2 balls, 3 strikes. It's 1 and 2. High pitch there, and now we're at 2s are wild. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, and the bases are loaded. Artem Logvinov here with a big chance to get things started for the Hoppers, trying not to go down on strikes. And a pitch clock warning there for the pitcher. And so that will count as a ball. So now a 3-2 count after the pitch clock violation. And Logvinov will foul that one off to remain alive and keep the count at the same at 3-2. So a 3-2 count now, 2 outs on the board and loaded bases for Artem Logvinov. And there's an inside. No, they're going to call a strike. That pitch was not a strike. That was an inside pitch and should have been a walk and a run scored. And he is going to call a strike there, call it a strikeout. That is a bad call. That's a bad call. Have not said that yet tonight. That was a bad call. And so just like that, a good opportunity, an opportunity that should have scored a run. And we are heading to the bottom of the first inning with a 0-0 scoreboard. We will be right back with Hoptown Hoppers TV. We are back here, bottom of the first inning, and we already have an out on the board as Oliverio able to make an impressive catch in the outfield against Josh Russell, the right fielder. And there's a ball thrown right away. This is Dylan Eaton, the starter for the Hoppers tonight. High pitch, there's a ball. Eaton has, he started the season as a starter and then kind of got moved to being a reliever. Back to starting tonight, throws called a ball, not exactly sure where that missed. And I'm not sure, I can't quite remember if these umpires are in the same spot they were. That pitch called a strike. I want to say this is a new home plate umpire and they moved positions. But I didn't really criticize any of the calls made in that last game. There's a high inside pitch for a walk. I've already seen several bad calls in this one, so my guess is this is a new umpire.
Next up, your Hoppers is your left fielder. And in Georgia, Southwestern, in Locust Grove, Georgia, Josh Newton.
And this is Josh Newton at the plate, the player in left field who made those impressive catches. And that's a foul ball right out of the gate for Newton. It's for an 0-1 count.
To Raylyn Durloff is having a birthday today. Happy 8 years old today, Raylyn Durloff.
Second pitch is high for a ball, 1-1 the count. That pitch looks good, called a ball, and that's another one that from here looked pretty good. And Davari seems to ask where that one missed, and the umpire didn't like being questioned. That pitch called a strike, 2-2 now the count. I'll be honest, I think that last pitch was better than that one. The runner will go to second, and that was a ball in the dirt. Full count now, 3-2, 1 out on the board, and a runner at second base. This is Josh Newton at the plate, too. He's already had 2 pretty good plays in left field. And a high pitch there will walk Newton. The second walk already for Dylan Eaton. And I'll say this about Eaton. Dylan Eaton, as a reliever, has been very solid. Has a very pretty off-speed pitch he likes to throw, and don't know if I've seen that yet, but he likes to throw it, and it is a very pretty pitch. But in his game that he started against Bowling Green this year, he really did struggle, and so you wonder if he likes being in the spot or not. And that's a low ball in the dirt for a ball. But again, as a 2-3 inning reliever, he's been very solid. So he has it. But he did struggle when he started. That pitch is hit well towards left field, and it will be fouled. And it had some distance on it, that's for sure. And for a second there, it looked like it may go fair. Now we're looking at a 1-1 count. 1 out on the board and runners at first and second. That out coming on the first pitch of the game for Eaton. Since then has walked both of the batters afterwards. That is popped foul as well, so a 1-2 count now for Reese Davis, the first baseman.
Let's give them a nice hand here tonight. The Paris another All-Stars.
And that pitch is hit towards left field. Luis Vergara will get under it and make the catch and keep the runner at second, and he will throw it in for the second out of the inning. So now that is 2 outs. Runners on second and first, and now Drew Howard, the third baseman, is up to the plate as the Hoppers try to leave the runners where they are. Get out of this first inning that has started off a little iffy. They probably also should have an out or have a run on the board from that top of the first, a missed call from the umpire that would have walked a run in. Called a strikeout. That pitch right away called a strike right down the middle from Eaton with some speed on it. That pitch looked good, called a ball. That pitch called a strike and said something like the similar. I think that pitch was probably a strike, but that pitch looked more outside than that last one called a ball. So once again, not exactly sure where this strike zone is sitting for this umpire. But a 1-2 count nonetheless, and 2 outs on the board, runners at second and first. And a swing, a miss, and a strikeout for Dylan Eaton will send us to the second inning. A great way to go out there as Eaton strikes out Drew Howard, and we will head to the second inning with the score remaining at Hoppers 0, Bombers 0. We will be right back with Hoptown Hoppers TV. And here we are in the top of the second inning. Luis Villalba is up to the plate. He did not play in the last game. He's catching tonight for the Hoppers. He'll watch a ball go in inside for a ball there. And he'll hit that one towards center field, and the catcher, or the center fielder, excuse me, will come up with it for the out. So he sees 2 pitches there before hitting one out to the center fielder. And here's power hitter Mac Biggs to the plate now. Biggs, I believe, played a few games ago, was his last outing. had a home run. Here he's playing first base tonight. He'll watch that one go high for a ball, 1-0 the count.
How do you say his name?
Mac Biggs swings on that one for a strike, 1-1 the count.
Also want to thank our friends at Rye Hill Yanks Little League team. They are here as well. Give them a nice hand. Rye Hill Yanks Little League team.
Two the count to Biggs now after that foul. 2-2, and the pitch here will be a swing and a miss, and it's in the dirt, and Biggs is unable to run it out. So that is his second out on a strikeout there for Mac Biggs. And that is that will bring up Gavin Baxter, the third baseman, the 9-hole hitter for the Hoppers, already batting here in the second inning. And that is a low pitch. Looked all right from here, but called a ball, 1-0 the count. When it's called a strike, that one looked more like a ball than the last pitch did. That one looked inside. So 1-1 the count, and this umpire already off to not a great start for either team, as that pitch is high and outside for a ball, 2-1 the count. And if he keeps calling like this, I'm sure he'll hear it from one of the two coaches. Probably whichever team gets down first will have some issues with him. 2-1 the count, 2 outs on the board, nobody on. Gavin Baxter at the plate. That pitch is low and outside. 3-1 now the count. And that's a low pitch that will walk Baxter, and so a runner will get on base in this inning. That'll be Gavin Baxter walking. So we've gone through the lineup already, 9 batters, but 3 walks and a hit by pitch. So 4 runners have been on. 2 outs on the board, a runner at first, Sam Perkins at the plate. That's an outside pitch to Perkins, 1-0 the count. There's a strike down the middle to Perkins, 1-1 the count now. There's a high pitch for a ball, 2-1 now the count. And Perkins will strike that one straight down the middle, and I'll tell you what, Sam Perkins is having a day as far as hitting's concerned. I believe that is his 3rd hit of the day. After a walk there, he also has a single now, and now Stephen Bell, the right fielder, will be at the plate. Bell walked in his first at-bat. So a big single there to advance the runner for Perkins. If only there weren't 2 outs on the board, they'd be in a pretty good spot right now. Tell you what, our internet is now, after being pretty solid, jumping all over the place, high and low. So I was told, and I can see it even on my audio levels as that first pitch was a ball, that I'm lagging a little bit. And so I was told last time it did this that the game was lagging, but my audio sounded fine. As that pops up to the shortstop who makes the play. That'll be 3 outs on 5 batters, and we will head to the bottom of the second. I might try to change up the internet service, so if the stream stops and then comes back up, Hopefully we will have quicker internet. Right now it is not looking great for our internet. We'll be right back. We are back here in the bottom of the second inning, and I did disconnect and reconnect on the internet, but it still looks to be going a little slow for us here. So I was told the audio is fine, so the video is probably not great. But it did this in the Paducah Chiefs game about a week and a half ago. That first pitch from Eaton called a strike to Frankie Sebastiano, the designated hitter for this team. That pitch is outside for a ball. In that Paducah Chiefs game, I ended the stream when the game was finished, when I would normally end it, but because the stream was lagging, that's an inside pitch for a ball. No one got to see the end of that game because it was about a minute and a half behind. And so this game I'll probably let run for a few minutes afterwards so that you can make sure that the game does not lag behind, as that is a strike thrown. So a 2-2 count now for Dylan Eaton facing off against Frankie Sebastiano. And he hits that one directly to center field. Dom Oliveira will get under it and make the catch for the first out here in the bottom of the second. And that will bring up Caden Harless, who is one of only 2 players to play in both games today. First pitch thrown a strike, and that was a nice pitch. Dylan Eaton, after walking a couple in that first inning, seems to be finding the strike zone a little bit better here. And that pitch is a strike just as I say that, and that's one of those off-speed pitches that I like to see from him. That pitch is sneaky. Dylan Eaton will try to run it, but he doesn't. And that runner will be safe at first base, as Eaton unable to get to first and make the throw to, or Biggs unable to make the throw to Eaton in time. And a bit of a twister situation over there, as the first baseman, second baseman, and pitcher kind of all intertwined and are unable to get the out. It is, you know, a bit disheartening that came on an 0-2 count, though. And so here you have Juan Guzman, the catcher for the Bombers. A ball thrown to him right away. There's a foul ball for a 1-1 count for Guzman. The runner's going. Yalba's going to make the throw, and he is safe at second, but the throw was a strike. So a 1-2 count with 1 out on the board and a runner at second base. So this is back-to-back innings now where the Bombers are able to get a runner into scoring position. The first inning they were not able to score him. We'll see how the second inning turns out. that pitch called a ball, I believe, outside. 2-2 the count. One out on the board and a runner at second base. That pitch definitely outside for a full count, 3-2. And that pitch is going to get called a ball. So that will walk the batter who was in a 1-2 count. So that's two batters now that have reached base, one on an 0-2 count, one on a 1-2 count. One of which on a hit, the second now on a walk. Here's Jay Flynn, one of the two players to play in both games today for the Bombers. He will immediately be hit by the pitch. So now you have loaded bases, and Mike Albin will walk out and talk with Dylan Eaton, who all of a sudden has lost the zone. Started this inning off well. I mean, he got that first out. Well, he struck out the final batter in the first inning, got the first out here, and then allowed a hit on an 0-2 count, a walk that was originally on a 1-2 count, and then hits that batter on the very first pitch. And that was a batter in Jay Flynn who did not get on base a single time in the last game. So he is not a great hitter, and we've allowed him to get on the base without really giving him any chance to get out. At all the bases, a double play is in the cards. Albin will walk back and allow Dylan Eaton to continue, but there are pitchers warming up in the bullpen a little bit earlier this game than they were in the last one. And now we are back at the top of the lineup. Josh Russell, who flew out in his first at-bat. There's a high pitch. And Villalba loses it, and I guess he didn't realize the ball got loose, and there's a run scored. Because Villalba loses that ball and stays squatted down for a decent while before realizing that ball went behind him. So the Bombers strike first, and I'll be honest with you, not a good scene right now for Hoptown. Hoptown has seen themselves in these situations a lot this season. This is looking like deja vu. That pitch, a strike. 1-1 the count. Only one out on the board and two runners remain in scoring position. That ball's popped up. It will go foul on top of the stadium ceiling here. A 1-2 counts. Dylan Eaton would really like to strike this batter out and leave the runners where they are, not give them any chance to go home. And he does just that with a swing and a miss. And that'll be a strikeout on Josh Russell for the second out of the inning. Carter Whitmore now, the center fielder, up to the plate. He walked in his first at-bat. There's a ball thrown. And I'm just looking at my metrics here on my stream. And the internet's been bad for a minute now, but my dropped frames rate is at 67.8%, which is not good at all. That ball played to the third baseman Baxter, and it would have been an out, but they're going to call it foul. So the at-bat will continue, 1-1 the count. But yeah, I mean, I'm not exactly sure how to solve this issue. Our internet, all we have in these away games is a hotspot, and it's supposed to be, it's supposed to last us. And when it goes down like this, we're kind of out of luck. And right now, the internet's not good. And not only is it not good, it's not really bouncing up at all. It's staying pretty low. That pitch is a ball high. And with a drop frames rate. And another hit batter. And another hit batter to load the bases once again. So after striking somebody out, Eaton hits the batter, and I'm not exactly sure how that happens, man. To have the zone pretty locked down to hitting a batter, I just don't get out. I don't really get how that happens. But he only needs one more out, and then now there's a force at every plate. And he starts off with a strike. And he'll hit that one to the shortstop, who makes the play at second base. And that will end the second inning, but not before the Bombers are able to pick up a run. We'll head to the third inning, and I think I'm going to stop the stream and try to restart it and maybe try to get some better internet. So we will be right back. Just